Good morning and welcome back. And as always, a nice show ahead of us. And I mean, the year is running out with one hell of a speed. And can you believe it? Next week, this time, you will probably see that we say we are at the end of the year and we will only kick off in middle January again. Usually this time of the year between, let's say, the 15th and the 15th of January, me and Christelle sometimes just take a little bit of a break away from the charts. But as you know, this hobby of ours, always keep your eyes on the chart, even if you don't do any writings or look at opinions for clients. This is a hobby that keeps you busy. All you can say 365 days in a year, but it's lovely. But next week will be our last show for this year. And remember, we will kick off around the 15th of January again. And let's kick off with some nice requests. Well, the first one that we're going to look at is, let's call that Bitcoin. I mean, Bitcoin is just one of those instruments that suddenly is taking the world by storm. Strange enough, I heard the other day that some analysts saying, listen, guys, we think that Bitcoin is going to 100,000 US dollars. That can be true. As I've said many a time on the show, I don't understand Bitcoin. Maybe I'm just a little bit too stupid. So I'll rather go for the more conservative options like gold or platinum. But I mean, Bitcoin is taking the world all the way up. And if you look at it, suddenly it's becoming what we call a risk asset. In the past, Bitcoin was mostly a speculative instrument. But now, suddenly, if the world markets rally, or if the gold rallies, or somebody gets nervous, you'll see it in the Bitcoin price. Now, I can remember that we called the opportunity for Bitcoin very close to 28,000 when it was right at the bottom. It tested this 200-day moving average. And by the way, a nice joke, I didn't buy Bitcoin then, but a friend of mine bought it and he asked me for a level and I gave him the level and he traded it and immediately he WhatsApped up me. He said, listen to Klerk, did you buy Bitcoin perhaps? I said, no, I did not. He said, did you look at the margin of this instrument? So I said to him, why? He said to me, listen, this thing will wipe out my account if I don't have the right choice here and the market goes against me and I've got a margin call. I know he held on, but I'm sure by now he's a multi-millionaire. No, I don't know. I'm sure he locked in his profit because the risk at that point was just maybe too high. So just be a little bit careful if you trade Bitcoin on a leveraged account. Then it, I think, can burn you. But I mean, if you go and buy the physical coin, as they say, I don't think that will be much of a problem. But I mean, look at this. From the first week in October, let's say middle October, it rallied from $27,000 to north of 41,000, and the momentum is clear to the top. Let's put in a stochastic. I just want to have a look at a stochastic. And a lot of people always ask me, Frans, what setting do you use for the stochastic? I use mostly 1433, but you've heard now I say the word mostly. And I adjust it sometimes if I look at the market and the emotion of the market. Then I will play around with the settings. Otherwise, I'll stick to the normal 1433. But look what happens here. The stochastic went from almost below 10 in the middle of September all the way right at the top where it's now floating at around 96. So one strong move to the upside. So for me, at the moment, I don't see any reversal candles. Let's just have a look here. And remember, this is a weekly chart. So I don't see any reversal candles. So for me, it's quite simple. If you've got Vodacom, and I'm going to use that support, there's the support for you. While not Vodacom, while Bitcoin is above 39,988. The momentum is clearly to the top. So I think, can you believe it? The next proper resistance is close to this level of 48,000. I mean, but another 7,000 point advance after a straight up rally from about 28,000. That makes me a little bit nervous. So yes, hold on to it. but I think just be a little bit careful if it breaks below 39,988. In actual fact, you can write down 40,000. It's very interesting because we're going to look at gold as well now. And we will probably have time to look at also the S&P 500 because somebody also asked about that. But it worries me that the S&P 500 had one massive rally. I mean, our market rallied 6,000 points in let's say 2 months. The S&P 500 rallied 12% in November. Gold rallied wonderfully, and even Bitcoin. So somebody is either very optimistic, so they chase the markets, and then you've got the other group of people that say, we don't trust the markets. That's why we're heading into Bitcoin and even gold. But short and long of it, Bitcoin, I think you're too late to buy. Hold on above it at 40,000, but below 40,000, I mean, it can easily go down 38,480, 36,617. And as I always say to all my clients, I say, remember, if you see a strong rally to the upside, if it turns around, you can see a drop also that you cannot believe. Look what happened here. It rallied up. When it started to fall, it falls off a cliff. So I don't say it's going to happen. I just say always keep that in mind because it can happen. Let's have a look at gold. I mean, the gold in US dollars had one beautiful rally, but I know everybody is optimistic about it because there's that left shoulder, the head, and the right shoulder that we worked on the other day. It almost played up to the T, but what happened was on Monday, it actually gave a ugly reversal candle, and it looks like a shooting star for me here. I'm just a little bit worried about the shooting star because it's a vicious move from 2000, let's call it 2,145, all the way down in one session. And now at the moment we're looking at the weekly chart, maybe in a weekly chart from 21, let's call it 2140 to 2020. It's a massive drop, and that makes me a little bit nervous. And what do I see? It can maybe also act as you can almost say abnormal double top here, because there's the top, but where's the golden rule? I always use this. I take the low of that candle. I say to myself, okay, there was a buyer and there was a seller right at the bottom at 2020. And if it drops below 2020, the seller will be happy and the buyer will get nervous. And remember, there's your 40-week moving average. The 40-week moving average sits at 1956. Below that, I mean, the trend can change against gold. But I mean, it had one enormous rally. I mean, look at this. From 1,832 from the first week in October to 2,100, let's call it, and 50 in a matter of, let's call it 6-7 weeks. That is one massive rally. So I'm a little bit nervous. I think we're a little bit overcooked. And what do I see here? You will also pick it up immediately. There's a negative divergence on gold. Yes, gold looks still 100%, but the stochastic warns you here. Look what happened in the past when that happens. The price can maybe still go up a little bit, but this negative divergence eventually pulls the price down. So just be a little bit nervous. I think as well here, you're too late to buy gold, you're too late to buy Bitcoin, and it can maybe pull back. Let's have a look at the S&P 500. I mean, this was one of the strongest moves. In actual fact, I read over the weekend that they said that the S&P 500, this gain that we saw here in 1 month, was last recorded in around 1979. I mean, for an index to go from 4,110, and remember, this is a massive index. This is, in actual fact, the biggest index in the world. To take it from 4.1 all the way up to 4.6 in a matter of 5 weeks, just going up one way, that just tells you that there is a lot of people that got into it. And remember, we said that before, there was a lot of cash on the sidelines. But what happens nowadays, and we've seen it for a couple of years now, the market actually goes against what everybody is thinking. If the Fed wants to cut interest rates, they do this. If the Fed wants to say that interest rates can stay a bit longer for higher, then they just do whatever they want to do. So for me, S&P 500 also toppish on the stochastic. I just want to draw a little tiny line in there, and you will see where's my support. The stochastic sits at a healthy 98. How do you do? Look what happened in the past, and it was 98. Yes, it rallied still for a few weeks, and then eventually you got a negative divergence. There's your divergence as well, and it pulled the price down. So what we will see, we can maybe stay here for a while. Everybody would love to have a strong market in December, but if we start to see a negative divergence here, it's just a matter of time. Then the price should come down, unless the market, as always I say, the market can always surprise you. The high of that candle is 4,607, and if it breaches that, then all the bulls will say, Frans, that was wave 1, that's 2, that's 3, that's 4, and 5 must take it back to an all-time high. So yes, just be a little bit careful. And remember, and I've said it many a time on the show, and I always say it to clients if they ask me for levels or to interpret the candle for them, I always say, remember, technical analysis is not an exact science. Yes, it is a great hobby. Yes, you can make money. You can also lose money. But yes, it is a nice tool to use if you want to invest or even trade. But always remember that you can be wrong. And that's the important thing. Don't just say that technical analysis is the holy grail of the world, because what? It is not. There's only one holy grail in the Lord, and that's our Lord. Nothing else. There is no holy grail. So that's all you can say. You cannot think about technical analysis is everything. It is not like that. Well, let's have a look at platinum. Oh, let's just give you guys the first warning level here. Sorry. The first warning level for the SP 500 will be below 4537. And by the way, the other day I got a guy that wanted to buy some currencies, and he asked for a request. And I said to him, you know, a request is 250 Rand a month. But if you are a viewer or if you are a newsreader of the newsletter or the candle of the day, it costs you 370 a month, but then you've got 5 free opinions that you can ask. So if you want to ask more than 2 opinions, it's always cheaper to just join the candle of the day and get all the stuff that you can enjoy. Let's have a look at platinum. I mean, platinum, all is looking at that, and what do we say? We always say, look at Impala Platinum, sold to pieces. It is really struggling, but for me, if I look at platinum here, there is a sort of a double bottom developing here. The one was in September, this low was at around 850. The other day, it also went down all the way to around 843. The stochastic gives you higher lows, but it's very nervous. It doesn't give you a proper indication there. Let's just have a look at the MACD, because sometimes the MACD gives you a good opportunity to look at it if it wants to build up steam. Yes, there you are. You can see slowly but surely there was the crossover. But as we know with the MACD, you need to get above the 0 line to trigger the upside momentum. And for the moment, it is not yet there. It is still working hard. And for me, what will happen to platinum? Again, it's not this down trend that worries me. It is actually this level, and that level is sitting so close to the 40-week moving average. And as we know, all of us know that the 40-week moving average is the most important moving average in the world. Why? Because everybody uses it. Technical analysis use it, the fundamental guys use it, the guys that use it for a hobby, all of them look at it. So the big thing here, if platinum on a weekly basis, remember this is a weekly chart, can get above 949.81, let's make it 950, and it consolidates there, you'll probably say, yes, the downtrend is starting to run out, and that will be the first sign of this double bottom that will maybe come into place. And where's my stop loss on this? My stop loss will be $824, and above this line we can maybe see higher lows. And guess what? You will not believe it, but this double bottom will only come into play above that line, and that is at 1,134. But we're way from there. So let's see what's happening there. Let's have a look at some shares. Merafe. I mean, there's some viewers that said, Frans, we bought Merafe and we hope and we hold on to the stock. And this stock is absolutely doing nothing. it is marking time. That's quite right. The MACD is not even showing some upward momentum. It's consolidating. And for me, always, what is the most important thing if a share just consolidates? And that's the important thing. If a share just consolidates, is to say, let's just wait. Let's just give the share time to work itself out. And remember, this is a weekly chart, but there is a tiny little glimmer of hope here, and that is this 40-week moving average. This 40-week moving average is on the brink of turning into a support, and that will turn into a support on a weekly close of 123. And I've said it many a time on the show, if you've got a share and you are keen on it and you're nervous, give it a little bit of time above the 40-week moving average, because it often just goes above it and then falls through. Look what happened here. It tried its best there, just fell through. Same here, tried its best. So I will give it 2-3 weeks to consolidate above this 40-week moving average, because before I'll get excited. But for me, the big one will be this resistance line. If the resistance line, and that line is waiting at 137, can turn to the upside, then I can say that this consolidation that lasted almost 18 months can break up to the top, and it can take us maybe all the way up to 171. Where's your stop loss? If you buy there, my stop loss will be the 40-week moving average 123, just to play safe. But I think it's early days here. It's a massive consolidation. And for me, I always look at some volume as well, just to see if there's maybe a volume spike. Let's have a look if it's there. There's no volume. There was volume months ago, but no volume here. So at the moment, I'm not excited about it. So let the price action actually shows us what it can do in time to come. Let's have a look at, remember that share of mine, transaction capital. I told you that my friend that passed away bought it as its pension. And what happens? It's right at this point of breaking up. There's the 40-week moving average close to this line. It works on it. There's a nice saucer and handle, cup and handle formation. You can actually say it's almost a tiny little inverse head and shoulder, but the big one is this line. It needs to get above 7 Rand on the dot, 7.15, to break to the top. The MACD is slowly but surely ticking higher. It's not yet at the zero line. And for my friend, although he's not here, I think his idea was slowly but surely the right idea, because while transaction capital remains above 592, the momentum in this share is to the top. Let's have a look at Capitec. This is one of those strong companies. I mean, you hardly see that this company drops. And I just want to use that same line. I did use it before. There you are. Nice rally to the top. Let's see if it's overbought on a weekly basis. I just want to see. Stochastic. Yes, it is overbought. There you can see. I just want to change the setting quickly to 1433. And remember, you can play around with these settings. Nothing is cast in stone. Well, there you are. Nice rally from May, June. Well, there's the top here in place, maybe waterfall formation. But where's the line to watch? That little support line. And that line sits at 1,922. Below 1922, it can maybe pull back. And don't be surprised, it can maybe go all the way down to 40-week moving average, and that is sitting at 1,681 Rand and 90 cents. And remember, I mean, in 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, one massive rally, usually it gives it a little bit back. You can always see it happened in the past. I want to show it here. It had one rally from, let's call it 1,700 Rand to 2,100 Rand in almost one go. And in 1 week, it lost almost 150 Rand before it rallied up. And what is one of these big lessons? If you've got a share and you like it and you want to chase it, never chase it after it rallied 15, 20, 30%. Then you are probably late. Wait for a breather. Well, thank you for watching the show. Our time is up. Next week will be our last week for the year, and then we'll kick off in January again. Visit our website, www.fransdeklerk.com, for more info. And All the best, and we'll chat again.